Yes.
Good, good. So, question before we start, just so I could get to know a little bit more about you all, and since we have a smaller group, that will be easy enough to do. Are you all involved in doing business to consumer, or do you do business to business?
This is
Consumer.
Bridget. I do consumers.
Okay, Bridget does.
Consumer as well.
Okay. Does anybody do business to business, where you're selling not to consumers, but selling to?
Both.
No?
We do both.
Okay.
Consumer.
And what type of product is that, Nicholas? Is it correct? Is it Nicholas?
You could call me Kay. So we sell services. We're a commercial and residential cleaning services.
Okay. Okay. So you do business to residential cleaning. All right. Got it. All right. So is anybody actively selling online where you not only reach out to the potential customer, but you take their orders and fulfill their customer service via online, or are you using your websites as informational and advertising?
I do. I sell online. I have a retail apparel and accessories, and I have an e-commerce, and I'm strictly online.
You're strictly online, and I'm
Yes.
sorry, I missed what you're selling.
Retail, it's apparel and accessories.
Okay, apparel and accessories. Okay, got it. All right. Okay, that helps. So I'll try to make my comments then, because there's a distinct difference between establishing a presence online for purposes of attracting potential customers versus the act of selling online, where selling online is creating the experience, and that's creating an experience that's pleasant for your customers and that would emulate in some ways the experience that they would get if they were coming into your storefront and buying things. So it's a whole different ball game. So we'll start out with the fact that just as a general, and most of my statements will be general because you're in a variety of businesses, and that is, and they'll also be based on my opinion, which is based on 12 years now of working with small businesses through SCORE, and probably over 150 businesses over the last 12 years. And that is, a small business has to compete on value. A small business cannot compete on price, because almost, unless you're coming out with something that's totally unique that no one's ever done before, there's going to be somebody out there that's established, or somebody else there that's doing what you're doing, and they're going to be larger than you are. And if you're in the business, if you're buying and reselling, or if you're even buying supplies, they're going to be able to buy at a lower price, and therefore you cannot compete with them on price. You have to compete with them on value, and value being what you do that is better than the people that are out there already that are also doing it. Why should people? That's the big, I guess, the major emphasis of what you're doing online, and that way is you're telling people who you are, you're telling people what you do, you're telling people how that can solve a problem, because since they're reaching out to you, you can't know their problem already, so you're having to state a general problem that you're solving, and then why they should choose you to do that. Also, I think because all small businesses are personal, even though some of you may have employees that work for you, your business is very much about you. You're the starter, you're the owner, you're the president. In most cases, you're not only the president, but you're the person that's actually doing the work. So you have to make it about you, and that's a good thing. It's actually being small is your advantage over other people, and that is that you can personalize things and you can make people feel like they're doing business with a person rather than a large corporation. So I encourage small business owners to personalize their business, make it about themselves, and tell the story. And this is the most important thing, I think, and that is that I've seen some small businesses do this well and others not so well. But instead of just saying, this is what I do and this is why you should buy from me, tell people why you're doing what you're doing. Tell people what led you to do that. What point in your life made you decide that you wanted to sell apparel, or that you wanted to provide cleaning services to people, and tell that story, and that personalizes it, and that's a powerful selling tool. I'll give you a couple examples of people that I think do that quite well. And not that they're related to what you do, but one is Eclipse camper vans, and I can send this to James afterwards so he can forward it. EclipseCampervans.com, and two ladies that build and rent small camper vans for people to use on vacation and so forth. But when you go to their site, go to About, and it tells the story about why they do what they do. Another is Grainwell.com, and it's again, two women who make or fabricate wooden objects, both signs and decorative pieces, and they tell the story about why they do what they do. I think that those are excellent pieces. Now, it does cost a little more to do a video, but if you can afford it, I encourage everybody to do a video. I see that there was a comment down at the bottom. Can somebody say what that was? Okay, we're a little bit different than previous. He is doing more of a QA. You should be able to unmute and ask questions. Oh, okay, that was James. All right. So
I did have a question, if
Yeah.
you don't mind.
No,
Okay,
go ahead.
my business is a residential group home for the most part. And the reason I got into it is because I have such an extensive nursing background. The problem is with advertising saying why I got into it, I'm not allowed to use my nursing license in my group home. As an owner operator, that's a conflict of interest. So my licenses from the state are separate. So how would I approach that with acknowledging my nursing background, but knowing like I cannot use my skills in any way, shape, or form with the clients that I serve once they come into my home? I would have to outsource to another agency to take care of their needs or refer them to someone.
Why is that?
The state just says, you know, the operating license for a group home is separate, and I'm not. So if I had someone that was insulin dependent and they couldn't administer their own insulin, I would have to get home health services to do it because I'm not allowed to act as a nurse in my group home. That's just the rules of the state.
Okay, then I would guess that having that license is not a necessity to operation of a group home. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so is there a way of you telling your story, telling all of the facts of why you do what you do and why you love what you do and chose that as a profession without stating your credentials?
But that was my biggest selling point to begin with.
Well,
you know,
you
hey,
can't-
you're right.
Can't you,
That's
can't you state your experience though, without necessarily stating, like, I love taking care of people. I've been doing it for 20 years. Isn't there a way of you doing that perhaps without stating directly that you have a nursing license?
I can, but my selling point was because I deal with mental health clients is that I can easily and more readily identify signs and symptoms of decompensation so that we can head off a problem before it gets worse, because I am a nurse. I know what I'm looking for. I just
Okay.
can't treat it.
Okay, so experience in healthcare. You knew that you know the you know the territory. You know the way things work. Any way you can. I'm trying to write mentally in my head while I'm doing this. Any way you can state your strengths without stating your credentials. I guess, for instance, if I was a psychologist and I couldn't say that I was a psychologist, but I would say, people have problems and I love to help people solve their problems. And I've been solving people's problems for the last 20 years. All those things indicate what someone's doing without stating directly the credentials to do them. I don't know. That's the only thought I would have on that is.
Okay, thank
But
you.
I do think it's important that you tell your story, though, because the primary ingredient, I think, that I see in successful small businesses beyond a skill set of knowing what you're doing, and that is if you're whatever service or product you're providing, there has to be some background in that to give you that knowledge to do it. But beyond that is the passion for your business. Successful small businesses are driven by passion of their owner, because most people who run small businesses could do just as well working for someone else. They're smart, creative. They could make a good income working for someone else, but they're driven to have their own business because they think they can do something better than is being done. They think there's a missing ingredient out there that they can fill. And so I think passion is probably the most important thing. And if you can get that passion through your advertising, it's a little more difficult to do online than it is when you're speaking directly to people, but it can be done. And I think the way it's done is by telling your story and what has driven you to do that and why. And that also implies why people should choose you to provide that product or service, because you're going to do it better for them than somebody else. Any other comments on, because I hadn't planned on talking for an hour, so I planned on answering questions if I can. So any other questions?
Okay, so if I'm using my web presence strictly to drive traffic to me in terms of referrals, besides telling my story, since I'm kind of in a healthcare business service, what platforms should I avoid, or what platforms would work better for me? I'm on Facebook now and I'm trying to navigate LinkedIn, but I'm not sure if a standalone website would also be something that I would need to invest in as well.
Well, I should imagine, do you come under any HIPAA deals?
Yes.
Or anything? Huh? You do?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously Instagram would probably not be a good thing for you, because that would violate people's privacy, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be one thing I'd avoid. And thank you for asking, because it just caused me to think that one of the business briefs you're going to get today that James is going to. Are you still on, James?
Yeah, I'm still on. I emailed the briefs out before the webinar.
Okay, so one of the briefs you will receive is about establishing an online presence, and it discusses, who identifying your client or your customer. And I would think in a group home, the person who's actually going to be using the group home is not the person that you're trying to attract. Would that be correct, Bridget?
In some cases, I see clients that may not meet level of care in a nursing home that could use a least restrictive environment. And then in other cases, I'm trying to keep people from being discharged to the street. So it's kind of both.
Right. But who is the person? Is it usually the person who's going to end up in the home, or is it usually a person that's a family or a guardian or someone else that makes that decision?
For the most part, it's usually my clients and social workers.
Okay, so I would target then keywords that might attract a social worker to your site, because that's really the person that you're trying to attract first, rather than the person you're going to try to convince that person that you're the service that they should be considering for the person that they're working with.
Okay.
So keywords would be important in your on your site in terms of putting somewhere social workers, problems that social workers have. I don't know. Since you're dealing with social workers, you're probably very aware of their problems, and you can kind of integrate that into your message online.
Okay. Thank you.
Carlin, I do have a social media presence. I have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, which I primarily do most of my advertisement through Facebook Lives. And I'm not real savvy with that, so I'm looking for more of someone to be able to help me to learn more about doing advertising and stuff, which where I won't fall into a trap of doing something illegal, you know.
Right. Well, I'm a generalist, and
Okay.
I don't consider myself. In fact, when this came up and they asked me to do it, I was supposed to have somebody else help me with it that is more of a expert on it, but they unfortunately were traveling. But James, I don't think James will mind me mentioning this, because we are partners with the African American Chamber. SCORE has over 100 mentors within the Cincinnati chapter, and there are people, because I've co-counseled with them, that are very good at directing people on online business. So I would encourage you to reach out and give that specific need and have someone contact you from SCORE that would be able to help you with the specifics of looking at your website and making comments and perhaps suggestions for improvements.
Okay. Do we have the information for SCORE?
Yeah, I just dropped the link to the SCORE website in the chat.
Okay,
And-
thank you.
And we're very anxious to help any members of the African American Chamber, because we've been very happy with becoming a partner with them, and so I assure you will receive good service.
I have another question.
Okay.
In terms of the look of your online presence, since I'm selling a service to people, I know I can't use my actual people unless they sign releases, and I
Right.
don't think I want to breach that. But should I have pictures of like people interacting or things of that nature? Right now, it is just a picture of my facility and how it looks on the inside, and the decor and things of that nature. But there's no picture of myself or anyone else on there.
I think that, again, this would not hold true for you, but for all of you, I think a photo of yourself certainly on your website is of value, because that, again, along with telling people who you are, that makes it personal. You know, you don't see the president of P&G on P&G's website. But that lets people know that this is about you, that it's a small business, you're the person. And So I would encourage all of you to have a photo of yourself on there. Now, in a consultative type service such as you're providing, Bridget, I think you could have some photos taken. Well, if you went on the SCORE website, you would see a person meeting with another person. You know, the implication there is one person's helping the other person. So you probably have a friend or someone that works with you that you could stage a photo of meeting with someone and consulting with someone. Beyond that, graphics and information, I think, are of value on your website, because when you've attracted someone to your site, they're interested, perhaps at least they're interested enough to be visiting your site. So when they arrive there, you want to keep them there. So anything you can do in terms of providing information about the problem that they may be looking to solve, or the product that they're looking to buy, in a graphic type form, either photograph or information in terms of I don't know, how many, first, I guess I don't mean to concentrate just on Bridget, but since she asked the question, what is the scope of the problem with group homes in the United States? Are there more people that need the service than are being able to receive it?
I think so. And then also, every group home is different. My selling point is that I have a true home environment. I have things that I provide specifically here that every group home may not have. So for instance, everyone has their own room. They have their own television. I give them a personal refrigerator, just things that, you know, is a better selling point. Working in
Okay.
healthcare is a difference in nursing homes. So I just
And
try to
are you-
build my business that way.
You're saying that other facilities do not do that.
Right.
Okay, so just off the top of my head, and I'm not an advertising guy, so, but this is just off the top of my head, I would emphasize the fact that you're providing a home, not just a place for someone to stay, but you're providing a home that's like a home. You're providing that personal effort where someone feels at home rather than feeling like they're stuck in an institution where they're I don't know, where they're maybe in a dorm or whatever else, but I'd stress that.
But isn't there a little bit of a danger by showing everything that you do that your competitors can kind of pick up on your ideas as well? And then you're not one in a million, you're one of many.
Well, again, you're telling me that there are people out there that are doing this already, but they're not doing what you're doing, that they're providing the service, but not in a home-like environment. I don't think as a small business, you can't stress or emphasize your uniqueness enough. And you cannot be in fear that by stressing your uniqueness, you're going to make someone else aware of it and they're going to come back and compete with you. Because I can assure you, if you have a good idea and it works and you're successful, you will have competition. There's no such thing as no competition. That's why even successful small businesses have to keep reinventing themselves and have to keep adding to what they do over a period of time, because if they don't, someone else will catch on and say, wow, I can do that too, and they'll compete with you. So I would not be so concerned about someone else seeing what you're doing and trying to emulate you. To me, that would be a sign you're being successful if you're being emulated.
Okay.
I'll just raise another question here. Are any of you using Google My Business app?
No,
No.
Anybody? check it out. Google My Business app. There's you can even get free service from local Google representatives on how to set it up, and it's not all at a charge basis. You can get free service on that. We've had the local rep come to talk to SCORE meetings, and I'm quite impressed in how they can help a small business use Google effectively to drive prospective clients to their site. What else? Any other questions?
Is there
Tammy,
any-
you
This is
joined-
Shadrian. I would like to know, I am a brand new business starting out, so I don't have any online presence yet. I'll be selling a patent pending high heel shoe insert. I just wanted to know kind of what recommendations or advice you would have for me starting from scratch.
Okay, so you're going to be, do you have a minimally viable product now that you've produced that works and that is you're basing, and you said that you're going to apply for a patent?
I've already applied for a patent, so I
Okay.
am in the process of having my working prototype made so that I can beta test.
Okay, so and is your intent then to try to sell it online, or are you going to sell through resellers?
It'll be sold online only at first.
Here you are.
Are you working with someone? Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just took a sip of coffee. You couldn't see that, but it took too much. Are you working with someone who's helping you with your business plan on this, Shadrian?
I actually have a SCORE mentor, so I'm working with him.
What's his name? Do you mind me asking?
Thane.
Thane?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you have a really good guy.
Yeah.
I've known him for, I think he's been doing this for 12 years as well. He's a very knowledgeable guy.
Yes, he is. He's
I don't
very
want to
helpful.
I don't want to get in his way on this in terms of what his advice to you might be. I can only say what
Okay.
my advice might be, and that is I wouldn't worry so much about an online presence until I had the product that I could show. And then I guess I would question whether selling online, strictly online, would be the best way to do that, because there are so many there's so many companies out there right now that are selling shoe inserts. Good Feet Store, there's a couple others that are selling shoe inserts as a solution to foot problems. If you really have a unique product, it might be beneficial to you, and you might be able to grow your business to a much larger size by reselling through others and that sell nationally, even. Especially if you have a patent, patent pending that protects you. But I don't want to get in Thane's way on this, because I have
No,
great
some of
respect.
what you said did align with what he said as well. So
And tell him that
I'm
I
merging
wasn't giving
together.
you advice. I was just saying that was my first my first inclination, because I don't want him to think I'm trying to point you in a different direction. But I think if you really have something that's unique, that you should look at the way that you can maximize it to its fullest extent as quickly as possible. And online sales does take time to build. I mean, you have to attract the people, and then especially with your type of product, if you're selling it directly to the end user, you've got to acquire your customers one person at a time.
that makes perfect sense. I understand.
So Tamia, I see your photo down here. you joined us a little later. What was your business?
So I run a organization that works with local, or is basically a network of local photographers, videographers, hair and makeup stylists and stylists, pretty much anybody that would work behind the scenes on a photo or video shoot, and it's called Tether.
It's called what?
Tether.
Tether?
Mhm.
So you, is your revenue stream, does your revenue stream come from the people who use the services of the people who belong to Tether, or does your revenue stream come from people joining you and having you represent them?
Yeah, right now it comes from the people who are part of the Tether network.
Okay, it comes from them. And so
The
you don't,
creators,
they pay you for having them be part, or for being part of your group, and for, I gather you have some form of promoting them. Is it
Yeah, they pay to be-
tether.com?
Yeah, they pay to be listed as part of the directory
Okay,
that we have online. And then there's also some marketing that we do on their behalf.
okay. How's that going for you?
It's going okay. I am in the process of launching a new service on tethercincy.com. We're going to allow people to post ads of what they're offering and what they're looking for, and that will be another paid feature.
Okay. So they would be people that would not belong to Tether, but would be placing ads. Would they be, they wouldn't be competing with the people who are already part of your group, right?
So potentially the ads would be, so for instance, if you, I think we were talking about a little bit on here. So if you were looking for visual content for your social media channels, you could post an ad that says, hey, looking for somebody to do a photo shoot of me and my team, or, our facilities. This is my budget. Contact me if you are interested. Or on the reverse side, you could have somebody who was on the creative side post information about what they're offering. So if we're expanding into content in general, but so if you are a social media manager, you could post an ad saying, hey, I manage social media for small businesses. I have these packages available, contact me.
Okay, and the people that are or the services that are provided under Tether, are they all local currently?
Yes, all Cincinnati region.
But no reason why they'd have to be, right?
Well, for photographers, yes, they would. So for other creatives, then potentially.
No, but I mean, not from you, because you're not doing the photography, you're just providing the photographers. So couldn't photographers in Dayton, Ohio, for example, belong to Tether, and you could promote them as well as, I mean, because you're promoting online, right? So the neat thing about a website is, again, especially if it's not a service that you're providing directly, is that it could be anywhere.
Right. But part of the reason Tether was established for local creators is because there are a number of Fortune 500 companies in our area that were not working with them. So initially the idea was to establish that community locally before we expand.
Good. But then there's perhaps that expansion would be in your future then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I would recommend that, because I think you have something that sounds like it could be very scalable. And if anybody's not familiar with that term, scalable is a business that can be, that doesn't have built-in restrictions. Like if you're providing a service that's local, like for instance, cleaning residential and offices. Well, at first that looks like it would have to be local because you're actually doing it. But if you established a great deal of business, and you could open another office in another city and do the same thing if you require that experience. So a scalable business is one that can grow beyond a small or a local geographic area. So photography, what were the other services?
Photography, videography, hair and makeup, styling, project management for those things, pretty much anything that you would need for a photo.
Okay,
studio.
okay. So, and then people join you, or say a photographer joins you. The photographer pays you a fee for belonging to you,
Yeah, they pay to join the directory.
and they pay a monthly subscription.
It's been yearly up to this point.
Okay, so yearly subscription, and for that you promote their services to consumers.
Mostly to small businesses. We've been mostly B2B at this point.
Okay, so all right, that helps me. So you're really doing business to business, but you're promoting the business that belongs to you to a business that's a potential client.
Yes.
So you get lists of businesses that that might be that might need the service, and then you try to direct your advertising, if you're doing it, toward them.
So we're primarily working with, smaller local businesses, well, small and medium size,
Okay,
and some
right.
agencies.
Okay, and you've identified, I would be more comfortable if I'd looked at your website, but you've identified the need in the market, that this is not being, there aren't other companies that are doing this right now, or there's something that you can do better, or whatever, because in your case, the people that you're promoting to are indirectly using your services, but the people you want to attract to join are people that provide the services, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
So there's, two sides to it.
So you've got a twofold message going here.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, that sounds like an interesting business. Do you have a SCORE counselor?
You know what? I did for a long time. I haven't talked to, well, I got married and had a baby, so that kind of put a wrench in some of my other things.
How long
that I
have you
was-
been in
that I was
business?
doing. Started in 2017.
Oh, so you've been around for a while. If you've been in business for a while, there's Wednesday morning is a co-counseling service with SCORE has between 9 and 12, and you can get 3 counselors to meet with you via Zoom, so you can do it even from your home if you have the time to do it. I'd encourage you to look into that. You can Rick Johnson with SCORE would be the person I can provide his name to and his email address to James at the end of this, in case anybody wants to reach out to him for the co-counseling services. They're usually 1-hour sessions via Zoom on Wednesday morning, and you can state your specific need and desires, and in terms of what you're looking for for help, and they'll try to get co-counselors that are versed in that field.
Oh, okay. Co-counseling. Okay.
There's one other thing that I wanted to touch on, and that is branding. Branding is very important, not only to, again, large businesses like P&G or American Financial, or any large institutions, but extremely important to a small business. And a brand is simply what you are and what you stand for, and what your values are. So I again encourage all small businesses. It's never too early, even though you may be the only person in your business, to establish your culture, what the culture of your business is going to be built on, what the values of your business are going to be built on. Honesty, integrity, customer responsiveness, whatever, and make that your brand. And most importantly, make your website reflect that brand. And it's like a religion. Your brand is your religion. So if someone espouses their religion and they say, well, my religion says this, and then people see, well, that person really doesn't seem to adhere to their own religion, that kind of ruins the impression of the religion. Well, it's the same thing with a brand. If you espouse a certain characteristic of why people should do business with you to your brand, then it's very important that you always remember that brand when you're dealing with people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So,
Yes, it does.
and again, in your case, you are your brand. So make sure that everything is always in keeping with that brand. I think Google.com, we talked about a business profile. What else may I help you with today? Any other questions?
So aside from, I guess, sending out flyers and things of that nature, and I guess the Google app will help drive people to our website, because I'm trying to figure out how to, besides cold calling and
I think
emailing.
they could, yeah, I think they can help you. Google My Business, I think, can help you. I think, Tanya, Google My Business would be a good one for you because they can help you profile and profile certain people. For instance, maybe you should have one of your businesses of the week where you do a profile on that particular photographer or the other service and who that person is and why they're special and so forth. Yeah, I guess to answer your question, yes, Bridget, I think Google My Business can help you on that.
And then this question is not related, but as far as being a small business owner, are there certain yearly benchmarks that you should know, like this is working, this is not working, I need to revamp things? I've only been in business since 2019 and COVID really hindered my ability to open and operate. So I'm just not sure how long I should give this to decide if I need to do a second location, or how do you know when you're, besides money, I'm not losing money, but I'm not making all the money that I feel I can make, if my question makes sense.
So were you able to operate normally most of 2021?
Yes.
And did you see your business grow during that period of time?
I can't say that it grew, but dealing with people with mental health issues, sometimes they're no longer appropriate to be here. So my census is kind of up and down depending on which clients I pick to be here.
Okay.
I want to expand and do multiple locations, but I just don't think until one building is completely full for a certain amount of time, it would make sense to do multiple locations. But I've never been in business for myself, so I don't know how to gauge it.
Yeah, I think, is there any particular value or lack of value to a location, to a particular location?
I think so. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
My current location is out in like the Northgate Mall area, and a majority of group homes in the city are like in Avondale, Bond Hill, in greater Cincinnati. So I've had people not want to come here because I'm not as close to some things as other people are. But I don't want to be close to every element that's in the city, if that makes sense. That's why I picked my location. I'm trying to get them to a point where they can focus and transition back into the community successfully without having to be around stressors that may cause them to decline.
Okay. I guess the thing I would suggest is you do a little research with the social workers and find out, ask them about location, and ask them whether where you're currently operating is a disadvantage to you. I do think that that if someone is in business doing what if a small business is operating for, say, 3 years, and if in 3 years you're not able to grow your business to the point where you are earning a living from that business, then it's time to rethink your premise for the business and reevaluate whether or not that business has the potential to be successful. Because lots of time, good ideas aren't enough to make a business work. There are all kinds of other factors that enter into it. I have clients that a good client that runs restaurants, and he owns 3 restaurants, and one of them closed during 2020 and didn't reopen, and it wasn't his fault. It was circumstances beyond his control. And so many of the people that were dealing with food service, especially during that period of time, just weren't able to control any aspect of their business other than try to change it somewhat to survive. But I think 3 years is a good measure. If you can't make a living at it in 3 years, then you reevaluate what you're doing and what needs to change.
Excuse me, I have a question. My name is Tierra. I'm actually the owner of a guardianship agency. Well, it's guardianship and notary agency.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, I missed that, Tierra. You're owner of a guardianship agency?
Yeah, so basically my agency, we provide adult guardianship services. And what that means is basically the courts, or if family members or agencies or companies have an individual that is over 18 that they feel like are unable to make appropriate medical or housing decisions, the court basically has us become the guardian so we can make those decisions. And with that being said, I think that was Bridget, that was the group home owner.
Yes.
That had the group
Yes.
homes in Colerain. So I don't know, as far as a suggestion, and maybe if somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, I also used to do case management with like Talbert House and things like that. But do you think that possibly like a good idea for her would be to like maybe go over to like places like Talbert House and Greater Cincinnati Behavioral and things like that, and try to maybe give out flyers letting them know about group homes? Because I know in the past when I was also a mental health case manager, I know myself, I used to look for places that was preferably not within the city limits because of the elements that would be within the city. And even now as a guardian, at times, like if I have individuals that need like group home housing, I attempt to look outside of the city. So like, would you possibly recommend for her or any of us possibly going over to the different like agencies or companies and just like giving like flyers or
What?
something like that?
Tierra, I think that's a terrific idea. And I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't think of anything like that, but yes, I think Talbert House in particular, because they provide or they try to provide similar services, and I don't know what their, I know I dealt with them a few years ago, but it was more of an incarceration type thing. They have a facility that has about 100 inmates that are 6-month dwellers for minor offenses, and in trying to straighten them out so that they don't reoccur. But I know that they have a variety of places they deal with, and they I think they would be a very good source, Bridget.
Yes, thank
Thank-
you.
I think that's a really good suggestion. But what that brings me to another question, though, is who reimburses you? Who pays for the service when you provide it, Bridget?
Usually I get funds from RSS, or my clients have to have Social Security or Social Security disability. With CCHB, they will pay rent for a certain time frame, but then the clients would have to become employed to assist in their housing.
So again, I think Talbot House, as Tiara mentioned, and I think anybody that's providing services for in the greater Cincinnati area would be perhaps a good place for you to make yourself known.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
And Tiara, I'm intrigued by who did you say your clients come through the courts, Tiara?
Yes, so there's a lot of different ways I receive referrals. I can receive referrals through like hospitals, through like family, through case managers. And then basically the court makes the final decision on whether or not the person actually needs a guardian. But
And if it's determined that the person does need a guardian, how do you then, what is your expertise in setting up the agreement, the legal agreement to provide that guardianship, or do you actually place guardians?
so I'm actually currently a nationally certified guardian. So the way it would work is that basically I would receive a referral from, let's say like a family who they may feel that one of their family members may not have the ability to make, they notice that their family member isn't making appropriate decisions,
Right.
like with housing or with medical decisions or anything like that. So they would send the referral over to me. My company actually has attorneys that I work with.
Okay, so you would
I,
actually be taking on that role of guardianship.
yes, myself
Okay,
as
I
well
got
as
it
my
now.
and myself as well as my counterpoint, my coworker would actually take on that role of being the person's guardian.
Okay.
But we would have to do a couple initial steps, and then
does it-
we would
does that
place the
come-
application in with the court at that
Does
point.
that come with a power of attorney?
To be honest, it's basically a power of attorney.
Okay, so so I think it's very important for you to, obviously you must have had some experience in this before you got into it. So to stress your background and the fact, gosh, if I was a family member and I had someone that I was going to entrust to your care, there'd have to be a great deal of trust in you to do that. So I think the more you can stress your qualifications and your history in that, I think that makes people feel more comfortable in using your services, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I definitely agree. And yes, just a little background on myself. My company is really new. Like I started a couple months ago with my company, but before that, I was working for a company here in Butler County, and we did guardianship services. So I was working here for 8 years at that company as a nationally certified guardian, and then I decided to open up my own guardianship agency. So the biggest thing for me that I know I'm having trouble with now is just, I guess, getting my name out there without promoting. People know me in Butler County, but it's under my old company's name. And so not everyone knows me here in Butler County, but it's just getting my name out there as me being not
Do you have
connected.
do you have any restrictions, non-compete or anything like that that would keep you from?
No, I
Good.
don't have like a non-compete or
Well,
anything.
it would seem to me that that in going in business for yourself, you probably saw the need, certainly because you worked worked with this company for a long period of time, but you probably also feel that there's something that you can do better than what was being done, right? Or you wouldn't be doing it.
Yes, I get basically to say that.
So it seems to me that you've got a good opportunity there, that since you know the territory, you know the need, you've seen the need, you've provided the services, and I would just stress why you probably know where to go to get your name out there too. I would stress why you're doing what you're doing and why you decided to do it personally on your own, and why you feel you would be a better choice.
And Tiara, have you reached out to any of the nursing homes locally, especially the ones with maybe like lock units or behavior units? Because they're constantly looking for guardians. I know in the Cincinnati area for sure.
Oh, really? I didn't think about going down to the nursing homes in Cincinnati. I have reached out to some here in Butler County. However, you can tell when you come up to them and introduce yourself to the different social workers up here, they're kind of like on edge, like because they're so used to going to the other agency and having the other agency be the place that they go to.
If you give me your email address in the chat, I can send you a list of people that I've worked with that I know for sure are looking for guardians, and I can at least connect you with those social, and they may be able to connect you to a few others.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, James, I think the primary value of this morning was connecting these people. I think they're doing a better job at figuring things out than I did.
Yeah, it's good to make the connections. You never know.
Do we have are we running up against time or anything?
So yeah, so the meeting was set to end at 11. But that's up to you all if you want to stay on, Carlin.
I do have a time constraint myself. I have to get off in a couple minutes, but if you would send my email address, since it is a fairly small group, if you would send my email address, if anyone would have questions that they would want personally, or if they would like me to take a look at their website or anything else and give my thoughts for better or for worse to them, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll send a follow-up meeting from this, which is some of the resources that got put in the chat. And then
Right, and I will also send you Rick Johnson's name as a contact for the Wednesday morning co-counseling.
Okay, that sounds good.
Well, thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure to meet you online this morning. I wish you success. Hope everybody does well. Small business is really key to economic development in Cincinnati. People that start businesses here, that pay taxes here, that hire people here are important to the success of the greater Cincinnati metro area. And unlike large businesses, you don't get tax abatements or anything else for doing it. You do it because you love it. So thank you very much for the courage and the passion you have in opening a small business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, if I can say something real quick, Bridget.
Yes.
Have you ever, are you familiar with GCBH in Walnut Hills?
Yes.
They have a lot of leads for us getting clients if you want more clients. And also the mental health facility in Bond Hill in the PNC building. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's mental health, and they place a lot of the people. I was starting a group home myself, and they told me they have clients that they are ready to just put out there. I mean, clients ready to get to people as far as the nursing homes or group homes.
Thank you so
And,
much. I
um,
appreciate it.
No problem. Also contact, what's that, the Lewis Center, because a lot of their
Okay.
clients, they need, people to place them. So the Lewis Center would probably be a great one as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.